all banned already. A lot of global presence and fast pushing that World Elite likes to do, and that's just taken away immediately.
First pick, LGN grabbing Nunu right away. Nunu, we've been talking about Nunu jungle a lot, and hopefully we'll be able to see that. Martis, a very versatile jungler. And World Elite, I almost said we, responding with the Ezreal and the Rumble pick, both extremely strong picks.
Yeah, we've really seen Nunu everything this tournament. It can be Nunu jungle, but mainly it's been Nunu support. Just getting into the late game with all the move speed and attack speed you can give to your AD carry seems to be incredibly potent. World Elite, I have personally not seen a whole lot of them. I try to catch games whenever possible. They don't play in that many tournaments, but what is known as one of the best Chinese teams, if not the best in the world.
They definitely are. The last time we saw them on the international stage was IEM Guangzhou, please forgive my pronunciation, and they were able to take that event, and there were teams like TSM, CLG at that event. So they've shown that they can really play with the best, and not only that, they completely demolished Team Dynamic in their first round match 2-0, commanding victories in both of those.
LGN, yeah, we caught up to Atlanta after that, and it's like, how did you feel about that World Elite game? He was like, they played really, really well.
Yeah.
And that's really all he had to say from it. Not that they made overpowered champions or the Dynamic made a lot of mistakes. It was just like, hey, they just were better than us. He didn't actually say it in those words, but that was the impression I got. And yeah, I think World Elite is amazing, and I want to see how they match up with Legion, who is actually a lot better than most people think. They just have a tendency to fall back a bit and choke in tournaments, but every time they play online and every time I've scrimmed against them, they've been really, really potent.
Yeah, Team Legion, formerly Reflex Gaming.
Yeah.
Actually, they've been playing together for a while, and we actually saw a couple of interesting strategies in their first game. A hard-fought win over MTWNA, who I believe is currently facing off against Team Dynamic. I don't know how that match is currently going, but Legion, we could definitely see some surprises. We've got a Maokai, a Lee Sin, and a Nunu. Interesting to see where that Lee Sin, Maokai, Nunu combination is going to end up in the final shakeup.
One really cool thing about this is World Elite doesn't know who Cruiser the Bruiser is, because for those of you who don't know, Cruiser the Bruiser used to play nothing but Lee Sin. He played about 1,000 or 2,000 games of Lee Sin before he even joined Legion, and in every single game that Legion plays against North American teams, Lee Sin is banned. They do not let Cruiser play Lee Sin. World Elite doesn't know this, so Cruiser has Lee Sin, and he's going top lane.
That could be serious trouble for World Elite. They have locked in Sona and Skarner, so we could see a Skarner jungle. I don't know if we've seen a Skarner jungle yet in this tournament.
It's strong, though.
It's still so strong. He does have that suppressed, able to drag someone out of position. Legion grabbing the Graves and Ryze. We have seen a lot of Ryze this tournament.
Ryze is coming back into favor a lot here. Tons of damage out of the mid lane. I don't really know why Ryze falls out of favor and then hops back into it, but he's definitely on an upswing this tournament. One thing that has been on an upswing, though, is not in this game particularly, but junglers that don't need gold per 10 items. Going back a little bit here because I think Skarner and Maokai are both going to be going kind of double GP10 in this match.
We had talked a little bit about this, that gold per 10s took a little bit of a hit. So those Wriggles aggressive early champions that are pretty strong in the jungle with those items are making a bit of a comeback. World Elite, Messiah, who is pretty well known as an AP carry. He's grabbing Morgana. Morgana's so strong with that ultimate. And looking at this matchup, who are you liking so far, Jet?
It's so tough to say. I love the synergy between Morgana and Rumble. I'm just a little worried about Cruiser being on Lee Sin and whether WeGigabyte's top laner is ready for that. One thing I do have to want to mention, though, is Messiah was actually... I met him a couple months back for the Riot Games World Invitational, and this seems like a strange thing, but I could not believe how fast he clicked. It's one of the strangest things. His mouse, it was like a machine gun. If I try to click myself, I can't do it. But he was clicking that fast for movements every second of every game. And it's just a matter, his character, if you watch this game, Morgana's just going to be jiggling every time she's going after the last hits because he's so finite with his ranges and keeping himself in just the right position to maneuver around creeps. And it's actually really impressive. And he is one of the best mid laners in the world.
We don't normally talk about actions per minute, but in this case, we'll definitely have to make an exception. We have Legion versus World Elite coming up. Cannot wait. I gotta say, I'm excited to see Cruiser on Lee Sin, especially considering he has 1,000 games, is it?
Yeah, I've never seen him actually get to play Lee Sin in a tournament game until now, because he's just always banned.
Well, it'll be great to see. Messiah, of course, one of the best AP carries in the world on Morgana. If he's able to get that flash ultimate, there could be some serious trouble.
Yeah, Morgana Rise is going to be an interesting lane. I think Messiah is going to be okay there because one of his favorite AP carries is Rise, so he's going to know exactly what to match up against it. And they picked Morgana after the Rise was picked, so he's ready for that matchup, and they see something there they can take advantage of.
How do you feel the jungle is going to match up? I believe it was a Maokai against the Skarner.
The Maokai against the Skarner is interesting because Skarner is someone who gets immensely powerful once he gets a blue buff. And I don't know if they want to actually hand off the blue buff between Morgana and Skarner. A lot of times you'll see Skarner with a mid laner like Vladimir so he can just run around with the blue. But with the Morgana, it's going to really matter of whether he can counter jungle, get ahead early because he's a big-time snowbally champion as we are now into the game. And let's take a look.
It looks like we're going to be getting in momentarily. Once more, Team Legion versus World Elite. Running down the rosters real quick. Top lane, we got Cruiser. He's got that Ignite Flash. Lee Sin going up against Kalme. You're going to have to forgive me a little bit on these pronunciations. Rumble, Ignite Flash as well in the jungle. Loudamortis on Maokai facing off against YJTM on Skarner. Mid lane, just talking about it. Wild Tortoise on Rise facing off against Messiah. With that mid lane Morgana and bottom lane Demon Lull and Nubish with that Graves Nunu combination against the Ezreal Sona. We've been seeing a lot of Ezreal Sona in this tournament.
We've been seeing a lot of Ezreal just in general. Pretty much every match someone wants to play. Although there has been a fair bit of variety with the AD carry plays. Graves, Ezreal, Corki, Caitlyn have all been used. And, oh man, they are right into the jungle and they have not been spotted. They're scouting around hoping to find a Maokai, but Maokai is just not anywhere to be found. He's on the other side. If anything, they're going to catch Graves and Nunu coming back. But look how safe they are going. They're going through their base. No risk of getting caught and just safely going as Nubish would have been in risk of getting caught, but was not to be.
Great ward as well by World Elite, getting the vision on that. It looks like Loudamortis is going to start Wolves Blue, playing it safe a little bit. World Elite, looks like Skarner's going to be backing off and starting that Wolves Blue as well. Great scouting, though, by World Elite to be able to know when Loudamortis is going to be going for those raids.
Yeah, really standard starts here by both the junglers. Loudamortis getting that sapling stack up on the Wolves to try to clear them out faster. Skarner starting in the exact same fashion. So these junglers are probably going to be mirroring each other for the first little bit here. Nothing too crazy going on. However, what? No, okay, no lane swaps in this game either, so fairly standard start by pretty much everyone.
It's also interesting that Skarner is potentially going to be going for an early gank. We see a lot of Mortis picking up that blue, but he's actually no smiting it.
That's really good. We see teams do this all the time. He took a bit of extra damage because he was tanking for a while without getting smite, but when a jungler can get enough help from his team to not have to smite a buff, it gives him a quick advantage because that means he can use smite on the red buff and go for a quick level 3 gank. Loudamortis doesn't have that option because he had to use smite on the blue buff. Never mind, he has smite as well, so both junglers doing this, and they're going straight for red, then they're going to look to both pump the gank.
Level 2 gank, super couple. You mentioned they're going to mirror each other, and that's exactly what they're doing. Now, looking at this top lane, Cruiser, we haven't seen a top lane Lee Sin in a while. What is Cruiser going to want to do against this Rumble matchup?
Top lane Lee Sin is just very aggressive. He gets a lot of points in W when he can, at least from what I've seen, and then just goes up and trades, and then vamps back up, goes back and trades, vamps back, vamp up, blah. Cruiser, however, 1 point Q, 1 point E thus far, waiting a little bit to get the W, and it's going to be good.
It certainly will be. Nubish scouting out a little bit. It looks like there's a ward in the blue side tri-bush, so World Elite getting a lot of extra vision, and they are warding so well already early in this game.
There's a lot of early wards by both teams. They really want to just have tons of map vision early on in the game. They know that Maokai is an extremely potent early ganker. However, they've over-warded the bottom here, and Maokai, Loudamortis, has snuck into this brush top, so if Cruiser can get a little bit aggressive, or if Kama decides these pronunciations are going to kill me
Kalme,
this game.
I believe.
Kalme. Then Loudamortis will be able to pull off a gank, but this does not look like it's going to be working. All those creeps pushing right up to the tower.
Unfortunately, Cruiser a little bit too enthusiastic with his farming. Loudamortis still staying in this bush, so...
Depends on his patience, actually. Like, if he waits through this entire creep wave, and then after Rumble feels comfortable, he comes out, they could potentially get a gank there, because he has devoted so much time into this gank already. If he doesn't at least wait until it's attemptable, he's going to feel like he lost something. But, man, it's just not coming to a place where he can gank at this point, and he is just burning time as Skarner farms the jungle.
Yeah, as Laudamortis sits in that top
Oh,
lane.
might bot lane.
Potentially get, yeah, looks like a big fight bottom lane.
Oh, nothing.
Now
I'm
just
a
a little bit of poke. Wow, Nubish is getting a lot of pain down onto WX. Sorry, Gigabyte WX, no, Gigabyte being their sponsor, of course. WX, I believe, wow. You know what? I'm not even going to try it. Laudamortis is still top lane. I believe Kalme has figured out that he's going. There's the snare going down. Cruiser jumping in to try and put a little bit more pain down, but no dice, unfortunately. Bottom lane, Demon Lull trying to mix it up a little bit with WX, but all the lanes really settling in.
And immediately Skarner goes into counter jungle as soon as Maokai shows top. He spent so much time in that brush. He's not as far behind individually because he was sharing experience that entire time. But now Lee Sin is behind because he was sharing experience that entire time, and Skarner's been counter-jungling him. Skarner also looking to come in behind Demon Lull, and I Nubish 4 gank here.
Yeah, could potentially be in trouble. Demon Lull out of mana. Great flash, but Nubish not so lucky. Exhaust going down. Are they going to be able to have the amount of damage? They will not. I love how I said it looks like everybody's settling in as Skarner goes in, counter-jungles, and then goes for a gank bottom lane.
Even though they didn't get kills, that was a pretty successful gank. They got both flashes down, and they forced both of them to go back to base. So that will give Ezreal and Sona an advantage in the bottom lane, and the next gank is much more likely to convert.
It certainly is. Even farm, though, for Graves and Ezreal, 36 to 40. Graves has just backed and picked up his double Doran, so he may be able to do something with that. WX content to stay in lane and farm. He is, however, out of mana, so we may potentially see a back soon. IF opting to back right away. Mid lane, we see Messiah actually starting to pull ahead a little bit. 50 minion kills to Ryze's 35. And Morgana, of course, an extremely strong farmer in that mid lane.
Another thing we should actually mention about World Elite is talking to players like Doublelift or talking with, it was Mistake when he was at the World Championship. They all raved about how good World Elite's AD carry was. They said he was pretty much one of the best mechanical AD carries in the world, and that's just something to point out, that watch for how good WX is here in the bottom lane on AD carry.
It'll be great to see what they're going to be able to do when they're able to get a little bit more advantageous position with that Skarner, especially if that Skarner is able to hit 6. We've been seeing Ezreal's poking non-stop, especially with that W. And it looks like Laudamortis is going to continue to gank up. Great
nice.
kick under the tower. Flash going out, but he is ignited. And will this be first blood? Yes, it will. Oh!
But they got the trade.
Unfortunately, they got the trade. Rumble.
Even with the trade, that's still an advantage for LGN, though, because they got the kill and the assist gold. So that was just the super aggressive play by Cruiser, flashing up in front of Rumble and Dragon kicking him back. So just super aggressive Lee Sin play, and that's why Cruiser has thousands of games on Lee Sin.
Yeah, Laudamortis actually picking up boots of mobility. Now, Laudamortis got that first blood. However, Lee Sin died to Rumble. Is that going to affect the matchup moving forward?
It might a little bit. I still think Cruiser will be okay. He has that null magic. Rumble going for the early amount of magic pens, so they're kind of canceling each other out there. I still think that the gank potential from Maokai with the, conversion from Lee Sin is going to be enough. But with all that, World Elite coming down for a very early Dragon. They love to group up early and force objectives. World Elite has a lot of fast pushing. That's what they did in the OGN Pro League. And here, they're just forcing things very quickly. Perfect time for Rumble to die. Natural back, comes back. Now they're doing a Dragon.
World Elite taking full advantage of that aggression. And the bottom lane is actually pushed pretty hard. We see Graves got about 15 minutes.
Uncontested Dragon. Really good.
First Dragon going to World Elite, 8 minutes in, and they have a 1K gold lead.
Yeah, and LGN really isn't getting anything out of this unless Cruiser can take this tower, but Rumble's already on his way back up, so just uncontested Dragon, and they didn't really lose anything. Legion did kind of the worst thing possible when trying to contest that. Cruiser came halfway down, decided not to fight, and then went back up. So he's going to get about half of that tower, but the global gold is not going to be balanced out because they were not able to trade any objectives.
Farming up a little bit underneath his tower. Let's talk about the junglers a little bit, especially after taking them being able to take that dragon. Laudamortis, a pretty successful gank top. We see YJTM and Laudamortis picking up their red buffs respectively. We were just talking about gold per 10 items taking a little bit of a hit, and both of these junglers are running this, they have the Philosopher's Stone. Actually, YJTM opting to start with part of gold instead of the Philosopher's Stone. What is the big difference now with these gold generation items?
It's really just they don't have quite as many stats, but the big reason that most of these junglers got the GP10 items anyway is just for the late game and for the items they eventually build into. Maokai and Skarner both want Shurelya's Reverie at some point, and they probably both want a Randoms at some point too. It's just a matter of their early game takes a slight hit. The nice thing I see about these junglers right now, though, is Laudamortis has the boots of mobility, so he can go around everywhere, and he is setting up behind this tower. LGN wants to shove this out or potentially tower dive, and he's coming in right now for a gank.
He's straight on the tower, exhaust going down onto WX.
Whoa.
There is the counter ultimate, and Sona just gets exploded. Demon Lull
Just
picking
disappeared.
up the kill. Yeah, that Graves ultimate can just completely shred someone. Great play from Laudamortis. I honestly did not expect him to be able to pull that off, but he just walked straight through the turret.
That was nice. That's the power of Maokai, and that's the power of boots of mobility. Not to mention they immobilize people so Graves could hit all of his skill shots as we see another engage going down mid lane. What is going to happen?
Wow. Great play from Wild Tortoise. Meanwhile, Cruiser top lane in a bit of trouble. Great kick, though. He's able to get out of this 1v2, potentially not. He is super low, and YJTM is going to be able to pick him up. Fantastic play from World Elite. But mid lane, great play. Uh-oh, Laudamortis going in.
With those boots of mobility. Will he be able to make it? Yes!
He knows
And
he's
got
there.
him.
Ultimate going in. There's the snare. However, it is still a 1v2. Will he be able to pick this up? Yes, he will. And he, however, is in a heap of trouble, but him and Skarner are both out of
Rise is
mana.
coming in from the flank, actually.
A Wild Tortoise could potentially convert this. Will he be able to get the snare down? There's the snare, and Laudamortis able to get the bounce. YJTM in a heap of trouble, and there's the kill for Wild Tortoise. That is 2 kills in a matter of minutes. Wild Tortoise getting pretty fed.
That's really big for Rise, because I was worried about Rise getting bullied out by Morgana a little bit. Since Rise has not really access to early health or resist, you have to start out with that Tear of the Goddess if you want your damage to scale on Rise. And he's done that. He managed to beat Morgana barely in a duel, and then pick up a refresh on his blue buff.
And a red buff.
Good stuff.
Definitely good stuff. Buff transfer complete
Buff
for
transfer
all of the wrong
complete.
reasons. And YGTM maybe a little bit upset with that buff swap, and we'll see if Wild Tortoise is going to be able to do something with it. Looking at him, he is 2-0, 88 minion kills, still very much behind Messiah in farm. Messiah has 114 minion kills, just finished off that needlessly large rod, but he's starting to build pretty tanky. He has that Negatron cloak and just have that Ruby Crystal.
Also, Laudamortis getting some really smart and good items here on Maokai. He rushed the boots of mobility so he could get better ganks. Then he pulled off the better ganks. Now he has both GP10 items and an Oracle, so he can just cruise around the map with Boots 5 and just clear all of the wards. On top of that, gonna sneak into this brush again, and they're gonna try another gank onto Rumble.
We've definitely seen boots of mobility very much in vogue for the junglers,
They're getting
especially
really popular.
Especially if they're able to get their oracles. And YJTM also having the oracles scares Nubish off of that tri-brush a little bit.
Yeah, he ran out a little early there. That was somewhat questionable. I thought he could have baited Nunu in a bit. He got a little excited about that. And here's Laudamortis with the patience once again, just camping in those brushes.
There
Here
he goes. Calme getting in a little bit of trouble. Great dragon kick from Cruiser. However, the flash and the defensive ult, he's going to try and turn this one around, and it looks like they're going to potentially back off. Laudamortis sticking around. Will Cruiser be able to land the Resonating Strike? Yes, he does, but it doesn't look like they're going to be doing anything unless Laudamortis is going to be looping back around. No, it looks like he's just going to be going back to his jungle. Great defensive ult from Calme.
Yeah, Calme going with that Magic Pen Rumble build too that we've been seeing a lot of lately. This is just taking advantage of the immense base damage on Rumble's Flame Spitter. The biggest thing about it is not the huge AP ratio, which it has, but it's more about the magic penetration. And that's really what all these Rumbles are going for, ahead of Spell Pen, or Spell Vamp.
And Lee Sin, in response to that, has actually gotten 2 Null Magic Mantles. So it'll be interesting to see what he's going to be building into that. Looking at the bot lane, YJTM really wants to gank this bottom lane.
And now they actually just put some pings down onto Rise. It looks like they're going to try to collapse in on him here. This could be a very successful gank if they land any kind of snares pre-Skarner coming in.
YGTM opting to maybe get the Wraith's Messiah, trying to land a snare. YGTM says, thank you very much. I will take your Wraiths again. Top lane, Cruiser. Ooh, a 1-for-1. Couple 1-for-1s top lane. Cruiser and Calme really trying to snowball that lane, but very even. YJTM snared just short, and Laudamortis coming in for the counter gank. YJTM is in a whole heap of trouble. He's going to drop immediately. Messiah not able to do that much. flash snare going down, and that is going to be a double kill for Wild Tortoise. He is
man.
4-0 in this game, and he is going to get scary.
And the second dragon of the game is just spawning. Legion going to go down and take that. I was just going to mention that Loudamortis was actually 2 levels ahead of YJTM, and Skarner had to be very careful not to lose that Oracles as he was getting quite under level. Being level 7 at 14 minutes is really quite far behind the clip of the game. With what just happened, Legion has a pretty strong stranglehold on this game because Skarner lost Oracles, they lost the Dragon, and the momentum is entirely in the hands of everyone in LGN except Cruiser, who might be a little bit behind Rumble. They're pretty much full control.
Cruiser actually just picked up a Hex Drinker, so he is building to make
item.
sure that he can handle this lane. Almost 15 minutes in, Legion in control, 20,600 gold to 19,100 gold, 8 kills to 3. No towers down yet, but Legion probably going to make that happen soon.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at Wild Tortoise on Rise. Completely dominating Messiah. He got that one early kill, and now he's just dumping down onto him. The problem with Messiah here is he wants to get the Zhonya's Hourglass because they want to force team fights. That's their style as World Elite. But when that translates into the lane, since he's losing it, he has no magic resist for what Rise is doing to him. He has no magic resist for when Loudamortis ganks him. And every time they land a snare onto Morgana, it's pretty much death until he gets that Zhonya's.
Yeah, Wild Tortoise is actually 1,000 gold ahead of Messiah in that lead. So a real commanding lead. Loudamortis walking right by YJTM. And
they're looking for a dive. They did not see Skarner, though. He will be coming up in the middle of this.
There's the dive. Kalme getting a great ultimate down. Cruiser jumping onto him. He is about 50% health. Kalme extremely low. But YJTM, there's the flash ultimate. Will they be able to drop Loudamortis? Fantastic shield from Cruiser. Loudamortis on a killing spree. Are they going to be able to convert this 2-0? No, YJTM is able to get the kill and get out alive. Messiah coming in to finish something up. Will he be able to do it? He does have the flash. Could we see a dive? If he lands this snare, he could go for it. He is going for it. There's the ultimate, and there's the kill. Fantastic roam from Messiah.
I was wondering how Messiah was going to play that, because if he threw out a blind Dark Binding, there was a low chance of hitting Cruiser, would have probably dodged it. But flashing into ult range to get not only the tether applied, but the slow so he could land his Dark Binding for the next shot was the perfect way of converting that kill.
He also burned his Ignite on him just to make sure. Lee Sin is an extremely mobile champion, but Wild Tortoise making him pay by taking down this middle turret, and that is first tower to Team Legion.
With how much Legion has seemingly been dominating this game, the gold is really close. And I'm kind of trying to figure out how this is. Is it the fact that maybe, yes, Messiah has 17 more minions than Rise, looking at the jungle a little bit, a few more minions on Skarner by 5, and Ezreal is up by about 20 on Graves in the bottom. So despite them being down in kills, they are up. No, they're also down in towers and even dragons. It's really close gold, just considering how much Legion seems to have control.
Yeah, World Elite really is hanging in there, and Legion starting to build that lead. They have almost a 2,000 gold lead. Top lane Cruiser with that Hex Drinker, I believe, really helped save him in that top lane exchange. Rise opting for an early Abyssal Scepter, while Messiah finally picked up his Zhonya's Hourglass, so we could potentially see some very interesting Morgana engages going down the line.
And that last fight up top really did help YJTM get back in the game. Getting the kill and the double buff transfer is so huge for him. When Skarner has a blue buff, he really, really ramps up. If he doesn't have it, he uses 5 or 10 Qs and he just kind of runs out of mana. So the fact that he was able to pick up that blue is really dangerous. And holy crap, Loudamortis is living top lane.
Surprise, surprise, Loudamortis is lane ganking top lane for, I believe, the 3rd time in this game. However, Skarner is mid lane, so he may be able to convert it if Kalme is going to face check this rush, but Kalme is playing really safe. He knows.
Well, they're looking to dive this Rumble really hard. Wild Tortoise coming in through the jungle, and there's potentially going to be a big fight breaking out here. Skarner came up for the scout. I think Wild Tortoise was able to see him, and he's walking through wards.
He's going to get seen.
So they saw the 3, and they're probably just going to back away.
But it looks like LGN is going to take full advantage of that and take their 2nd turret of the game, extending that lead even further. Bottom lane, World Elite trying to be aggressive, and Messiah
behind the tower.
Looping around. We could definitely see a tower dive as WX pushes this lane down pretty hardcore. There goes Messiah, the ultimate going onto Demon Lull. Messiah getting exhausted. There's the snare, and there's the ultimate, and there's the kill. Another great ult by Sona. Nubish getting exhausted, falls extremely low, and WX able to pick up the kill. A great roam again by Messiah. That's his 2nd converting roam of the game.
Really good coming in behind the tower, able to get through the wards. Unlucky of Legion to not have any wards up, a little bit sloppy. He actually came in all the way behind. He didn't even go through the triangle brush, so they felt fairly safe there and ended up just walking right into a terrible trap.
Yeah, Messiah really taking no chances, especially because there has been the roar of that tri-brush. Both teams trying to get control of vision. We could see another potential engage. Loudamortar going in on WX, and Cruiser following soon after. IF is in a heap of trouble, ignited and dead. Cruiser deadly on that Lee Sin, but Calme is following in. Wild Tortoise could also be in trouble. Loudamortar is coming in to try and help out. There's the shutdown. Calme able to take out Wild Tortoise, but the fight is not over yet. Calme extremely low, but still putting pain down. Messiah is going to join the party. Will he land it? Yes, he will. YJTM going in for the follow-up. Loudamortar solo. There's the flash and the ignite, and he will just get hit by that projectile from YJTM. So much action, and it is not over yet. Calme in a heap of trouble. LGN going in to clean up, and Messiah being chased down. YJTM so low on mana. Messiah getting completely nuked. Demon Lol gonna pick up that kill. What a topsy-turvy fight that was.
That was a really crazy back and forth fight. Both teams collapsing down very frequently towards it. Not the best keeping track of where players are, as LGN was able to come back a little bit, and now they're just waiting for the Dragon Spawn. If they can get that, they might pull ahead just a little bit. Yezreal flies through, almost
WX
able to get it.
Yeah, WX even a little
good
left
reaction.
Tap, yeah.
World Elite really sticking in this game because I felt like they've been falling behind a little bit this whole time since the start, but really, they're hanging in there really, really well.
They certainly are. Demon Lol in a heap of trouble. They do have those phage procs. WX may be able to follow him in. Demon Lol falling extremely low, but able to get out of there alive. Legion playing really well, but World Elite staying in it. Legion still only has about a 2,000 gold lead, despite all of the kills, all of the turrets.
The biggest advantage I can see from Legion right now is even though they only have the 2.5k gold lead, they have an Aegis and they have an Abyssal Scepter, so aura item-wise they are up. If they force a 5v5 fight, that leads me to believe they'd have the advantage there. The disadvantage of that is World Elite has a very AoE heavy comp, whereas Legion is not so much. Ryze and Lee Sin are both single target solo lanes as far as most of their skills go, whereas World Elite has Rumble and Morgana. So teamfight wise, aura advantage to Legion, character advantage to World Elite. Very close.
I think it's really all going to come down to what engages they're going to be able to get into. Wild Tortoise 5-1, and if he gets a hold of one of those high priority targets, especially WX, World Elite is going to be a whole heap of trouble.
I want to see how Legion's able to transition this. Typically, Lee Sin needs to start off the game really, really strong and snowball it to a victory if he wants to transition, because he is the somewhat squishy melee DPS guy that when he dives in, he needs to kind of kill you right away, otherwise he's going to fall back. But Cruiser, with thousands of games on Lee Sin, should be really, really adept at dipping in and out of these team fights. And the fact that he started 2 and 4, despite, you know, having the 6 assists, makes me think he might be a little weak, but I want to see how he plays it because he is regarded as the best Lee Sin.
He is an incredible Lee Sin. Looks like Legion going to take another turret, going to bring that tally up to 3-1. Looking at Cruiser, looks like Demon Lol taking that turret out. Finally, Cruiser has the Hexdrinker. He does have the Phage. He only has 94 minion kills to the Rumble's 121 minion kills, 2 and 4, and World Elite is going to respond by taking out the middle turret, and LGN in a bit of trouble if World Elite is going to be able to catch them.
They're going to catch something, or we're going to see a 5v5 fight right in the jungle, and they whiff the Rumble up. That could be bad for them if they get collapsed on by the rest of Legion.
Demon Lol going in, a flash going in by YJTM. They do catch Demon Lol out of position. Great play from Messiah. There they are able to get a double kill. Calme, despite whiffing the ult, doing so well on Rumble. If being forced out with the Ignite, Wild Tortoise coming in, and he has his hands on Messiah. That is a double kill, but YJTM will not be stopped. He's going to shut Wild Tortoise down.
Wild Tortoise just jumped in 1v5 and picked up 2 kills. That was really reckless, impressive, and somewhat bad all at the same time. And now they're both running in 2v3 trying to clean up.
Speaking of reckless and impressive, Cruiser going down, Ignite going down on WX. Cruiser trying to finally finish him off. He does eventually. Loudamortar trying to help him out, but unfortunately, that was a one-way mission as Cruiser takes him out. And Loudamortar in a whole heap of trouble. Will they be able to get the slow? No, they won't. Loudamortar able to walk out alive. These team fights are turning into wacky affair.
That was an amazingly reckless team fight by both. Well, actually, not even by World Elite. That was a reckless team fight by LGN. World Elite had every reason to win that fight 2-0, but the recklessness of LGN really caught World Elite off guard, because when you look at what actually happened in that fight, Legion didn't really come out that negatively. They did lose the killing spree on Rise, but Cruiser getting kills, Rise getting the double kill, all kind of good things. And, you know, pretty impressive turnaround nonetheless for LGN in a fight where they should have been caught out of position.
Yeah, we had said at the beginning of this match that we would potentially expect some different things from LGN in terms of team composition.
How many games have we seen turned around by Baron this tournament? Legion getting on the
seen a
Baron
lot.
right away. World Elite pinging down. They suspect, but that Baron is at half. We could see a big team fight, or Legion might clean this up and then win a fight.
It looks like Legion is going to grab it right off the bat, and they're going to pop the Shirelias. They want nothing to do with World Elite at this point in time. I was saying before they were able to pick up that Baron, we were saying before this that we were going to see potentially some interesting compositions. Something we didn't touch on is their tactical decision making. They are, seem like to be such a unique team in their decisions. Cruiser going in, wanting to take out that Ezreal, even though he knew he probably wasn't going to be able to get out of there alive. Their reckless style really paying off in this game.
One thing with World Elite, though, is this is a fairly standard team composition. Normally, they're kind of known for the fast push, crazy strategies. This does seem rather standard. They have already qualified for World Championships, so they could be using this as a bit of a scouting experience. And here they're chasing down a Baron buff Graves. Let's see if they can catch him. Oh,
and
he burned
flash.
everything.
Yeah, an instant flash to get out of there. Demon Lord does not want to get caught by that Ezreal, and YJTM was waiting in the brush to potentially get that suppressed drag down. Now WX content to push down this bottom lane. What do you think World Elite's going to have to do to cut this gold lead down? Because Legion is ahead of about 4,000 gold. Yeah,
and Legion has the Baron buff, so World Elite has to proceed with a lot of caution here. They're still out on the map, they're still farming, they're still applying pressure, but I can't imagine they want to force a 5v5 or fight Legion at all. So despite them being out here farming, they need to do a good job of just avoiding LGN, trying not to let this gold advantage slip any longer, and then try to fight once the Baron buff is down. For Legion, they want to fight right now. And they're not afraid to tower dive, so that might be what they're trying to do here.
They definitely aren't. Loud Immortus as well, having that ultimate. If he sets that down, we could very well see a fight soon after, but now LGN seemingly content to just push out this mid lane with that Baron buff. They've got some great poke with that Graves, and they've got some great minion wave clearing. And looking at the score, it's pretty close in kills and pretty close in turrets, but LGN really able to take the kills and take the objectives that matter to snowball this lead. And it looks like they're going to be putting a lot of pain down. WX being forced to burn his ultimate to clear the wave.
But still just kind of a standard hold for World Elite here. Legion not doing that much to try to split around or do anything creative. I don't think they're going to be able to siege down onto this tower. Lattimore getting a little sloppy here. Might have been trying to bait an engagement there, as he was probably ready to dive right in. But Legion not gaining that much advantage from this Baron buff yet.
Not at the moment. However, Loud Immortus just made a couple of auto attacks with a bunch of spells around him and just used his passive to heal all of that damage back. So he's almost full health again. Looks like World Elite's going to rotate into getting the dragon. But you mentioned LGN, they want to fight now, but it doesn't look like they know that World Elite is doing that dragon. Great player.
They will get a tower out of this, though.
Yeah, great sneak from World Elite. LGN trying to put some pressure down on this top lane. They are still ahead despite that dragon for World Elite. About 3,000 gold. LGN is going to extend that lead a little bit with that top turret, and they're going to pressure down this inhibitor turret.
And Ezreal's actually stuck bottom lane here, so if we're going to see a dive, we're going to see it now. They're going to try to take this tower down and potentially get a fight. Or they're just going to go right for the inhibitor, either one.
There's the Rumble ultimate going down. Kamei, however, getting caught out of position, and Cruiser kicking him into the middle of the team, but a great ultimate by Masada, however, Wild Tortoise able to take Kamei out.
Can't fight 4v5 without Ezreal. This was
There's a
foolish.
Shirelias, and Wild Tortoise, a double kill. He is an absolute beast at this moment. WX doing his best to push and counter push, but looks like LGN may just go in straight for the win.
They're going to try to end it here. Ezreal's still trying to trade inhibitors. Now he realizes he has to get back to base. All 5 people of Legion are up right now. They're going to be able to get down the second Nexus turret, and a big strategic misplay here by World Elite because this Nexus is going to fall.
Great play from LGN to push down and know what is happening. Seeing that Ezreal, game 1, 2 Team Legion, well played.
Man, that was a ridiculous ending in a lot of ways because they were holding off so well